How would you like to learn how to become an advanced mechanical engineer? Perhaps you just want to teach your friends how to swim.
Major arsehole. Thanks for nothing, mate.
Or maybe you just want to meet colorful characters.
Bonjour!
Introducing the Oathbreaker Paladin, where all things are possible. One of the first major decisions you have to make is how you're going to break your oath. Like slaughtering an entire village of people. Or you can choose not to pet Scratch. Both of these atrocities are pretty equal, if you ask me.
You have broken your oath, Paladin. At the close of day, I will be waiting for you.
So after you've broken your oath, you have to go meet Groundskeeper Willie at your camp.
I have been waiting for you.
Now, Oathbreaker offers up a very powerful ability called Aura of Hate, which basically improves your attack based off your proficiency bonus, and allows you to do stuff like this. Another big reason to break your oath is Spiteful Suffering. It gives you advantage on attack rolls, which is incredibly powerful early on in the game. All you have to do is apply it to an enemy that you want to attack. As long as you land it, your next attack is going to have advantage, and it's going to give you bonus necrotic damage too. Now, the second main reason you would take an Oathbreaker Paladin is Control Undead. This spell alone can turn the tide of battle in some of the major fights in the game. Today we're going to be going with Oath of the Ancients. We're going to be starting off with about 17 strength and about 16 constitution. The rest of these stats is up to you. I prefer dexterity because we're going to be very slow. Once we get to level 2, we're going to be able to choose a fighting style. We're going to go with Great Weapon Fighting. We're going to take Command because it's one of the best level 1 spells you could possibly get. For the second spell, you're going to choose one of the Smite spells. You could choose either Thunderous Smite or Wrathful Smite. Thunderous Smite usually is my go-to whenever I'm choosing my first levels. For our first feat, we're going to choose Savage Attacker, which is going to help us with our weapon rolls. So then we're going to choose 2 more Smite spells, and we're going to choose Bless or Cure Wounds, whichever you prefer. So when it comes to Illithid powers, we're really going to want to invest in Psionic Overload. It's going to give us even more damage per swing. We're going to put Perilous Stakes on another character, preferably a support character. We want Perilous Stakes to already be up and on a target before our turn even arrives. So because of that, I'm going to choose to put Perilous Stakes on our Monk. We're going to go Transfuse Health. We're going to go Perilous Stakes. You could also grab Luck of the Far Realms. You could also choose to put the Awakened passive when you get to the Crush Infirmary on this character to make their Illithid powers a bonus action. So early on in Act 1, you don't have to worry too much about your equipment. You just want to basically make sure you have any sort of heavy armor on. Some of the early game sword items you can get in Act 1 are the Everburn Blade, which you can get from Commander Zulk in the ship. You can get Jor Goral's Greatsword, which you can get in Grimforge in the Underdark. Corsair Greymon is the guy who sells it to you. One of the better swords you can receive at the end of Act 1 is the Soulbreaker Greatsword. You can get that from the Captain of the Koresh, and one of the better bands you can come across is the Caustic Band. You can get that from Bone Cloak. I can't remember her first name. Anyway, she's down the Myconid colony. She'll sell you that. You'll get +2 acid damage. The first of the items that you want to get before you leave Act 1 is Valor Alluve. It's found in the Underdark. It is a really, really powerful sword. You're going to want to put it on a support class character. It's basically going to grant you extra thunder damage whenever the sword is within a certain range of your target, and it's also going to give your target a disadvantage on certain spell checks. Another key item you need before you leave Act 1 is called the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. At the end of the Githyanki questline, there's this person named Ardent Jilul. I can't really pronounce that. But they're going to give you the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. It is incredibly powerful with the Paladin class. It basically means that whenever we cast an aura, we're going to get a bonus equal to our proficiency bonus every single time we make an attack. So as long as you leave Act 1 with the Diadem of Arcane Synergy... Oh look, he's waving goodbye. and you've acquired some of the Illithid powers that I've listed, you're well on your way to creating the character that we're ultimately going to get in Act 3. Now in Act 3, that's whenever our character really comes online, really reaches its full potential. So until then, we're going to continue to level up as a pure paladin, and we're also going to make sure that we grab a lot of key items along the way in Act 2. Act 2 is basically going to be a treasure hunt. So the first item in Act 2 that we're going to come across is the Luminous Gloves. It's going to give us some extra radiant damage that's super useful for Act 2. And they can be found right here in this little corner of the shadowed battlefield. On top of this little ledge, there's a chest here. Then once we get to the Last Light Inn, we're going to be able to find Quartermaster Tali. She's going to sell us the Cloak of Protection, gives us armor class and saving throw, which is also useful. Once you first make it to Moonrise Towers, things will be a little less corpsey. As soon as you walk in, go left, you're going to meet a drow merchant who's going to sell you the Risky Ring, which will give you advantage on attack rolls. And the Boots of Arcane Bolstering are super powerful. It basically gives us a bonus to our attack equal to our proficiency bonus after we use dash. So once you've acquired the correct items and you've reached level 10, this should be around the end of Act 2, the beginning of Act 3. This is where you want to reset your character's stats. Unfortunately, Bonesy here is going to give us a little bit of trouble.
Thou hast broken thy oath. Before I can aid thee, thou must atone. Oathbreaker. First, you must pay the agreed price. Do you wish to pay?
I've only got 7.
The price is paid. The oath of the ancients is once more yours to fulfill.
So we're leveling up again. We're going to make Charisma our most important stat. So we want to make sure we're basically flip-flopping. We're no longer using Strength as our assigned bonus. We want Charisma to be as high as possible. The idea behind this is that Charisma works with our auras. Whenever we have auras such as our Aura of Courage or Aura of Hate. Our fighting style we're going to choose, once again, is Great Weapon Fighting. Our prepared spells are going to be Command. We're going to throw in Thunderous Smite, Wrathful Smite, Cure Wounds, and Bless. Once we get to level 4, you're going to choose your feat. It's going to be the same as before. We're going to go Savage Attacker. So now that we've reached 5 levels into Paladin, we're going to swap on over on our next level up, and we're going to do 5 levels into Great Old One Warlock. Cantrips, you can stick with the default. For our spells, we want to choose Hex. Eldritch Invocations, we're going to choose Beguiling Influence, and we're going to choose Devil's Sight. So once we get to level 3, the boon that we're going to choose is Pact of the Blade. When we reach level 4 as a Warlock, we're going to choose another feat. We're going to choose Ability Improvement, and we're going to up our Charisma as much as possible. This is going to allow us to mitigate more damage with our Aura of Protection. This is also going to give us a bonus to our damage with Aura of Hate, and it's going to give us a bonus to our damage with our Pact-Bound Weapon, overall giving us a really good blend of synergy, and the higher we can get this Charisma modifier, the better. So because we chose Pact of the Blade at level 3, once we get to level 5 as a Warlock, we're going to get Deepened Pact. This is going to give us an extra attack with our Pact-Bound Weapon, and it's going to scale off of our Charisma modifier. So realistically, I would choose one of the level 3 spells, the best ones being Counterspell, Hunger of Hadar. I'm going to stick with Counterspell as my choice. My third Eldritch Invocation, I'm going to choose Repelling Blast. Past level 10, we're going to switch off of Warlock and we're going to go back to Paladin. Aura of Warding and Aura of Protection are so good in and of themselves that it would be stupid not to take 2 more levels into Paladin after we get to level 10. And that's going to be our finished character build when it comes to skills. So unfortunately for you role players out there, we're going to have to break immersion a little bit, and we're going to have to break our oath again after we get all of our specs sorted out. In order to do that, we could play a little game I like to call Push People Off a Cliff Until Someone Notices. This bitch. Anyway, where were we?
Your resolve changes with the wind, Oathbreaker.
So at this point, we're re-breaking our oath just so that we can get Aura of Hate again. It is incredibly powerful. Just to show you how powerful, I'm going to go ahead and give you an example fight, and there's a couple of things we can do to prepare for the fight outside of battle. The very first thing is we already activated Aura of Hate, so now we can activate Aura of Protection. We can also throw in Pact-Bound Weapon before we even enter battle, because it's going to last with us until we full rest. So this build is really good at putting out a lot of damage in a short amount of time. All the major boss fights in this game basically have an HP threshold for the boss, that once they get past a certain HP, they change into a different phase. That different phase might give them bonus health or different abilities that they can use. And the objective here is to deal so much damage in such a short amount of time that the boss can't even get to the second phase. Now, in order to do this correctly, that requires a lot of setup. So, the very first thing that we could do is we can use Shrieking Blade with our support character. This is a good time to add any other long-term concentration spells like Bless, which lasts 10 turns. This is also a good time to throw in any potions that you want with your main character. Next, we're going to use our character who has Perilous Stakes to go ahead and throw that on the main boss. And whenever it finally gets to our Paladin's turn, we're going to use Spiteful Suffering and we're going to use Hex on our target in order to give us a lot of necrotic damage. We're going to use Command because it is incredibly broken. Now you want one of your support characters to have Haste so that you can use it on your Paladin, giving us an extra action. It's also useful to have another character that can give us Crusader's Mantle, that can give us bonus radiant damage. Now that we have Perilous Stakes, Hex, and Spiteful Suffering set up on our target, and our character's been granted Arcane Synergy and Haste, now's the time to take out a boss. Now, in the famous words of the late great Billy Mays,
It's a lot of damage.
may God rest his soul. So, we still haven't reached our finalized version of the build yet. Towards the end of Act 3, we're going to come across the Mirror of Loss. This is going to give us a permanent +2, even potentially a +3 bonus to our Charisma, giving us even more of a proficiency bonus with all of our skills that use it. And once you have the opportunity and you get the Balduran's Giant Slayer, this is going to be the best in slot sword that we can come across in the game. Another best in slot item are the Spellmite gloves. You get that from this chick at the circus. Once you encounter her early on in Act 3, your smite spells are going to get an extra 1d8 damage from these gloves. Now this build is based off a build guide I found on Reddit by a guy named Prestigious Juice 341. This man is a genius, and he wrote up an incredibly detailed guide, which I will leave in the description below. It's going to give you so much more information than I provided. I tried to give you a basic outline of how the class works, but if you want any sort of specifics, this man goes into an incredible amount of detail. So that was the Oathbreaker Paladin. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have fun with this build. I know I did. It's incredibly powerful, and it's stupid fun to play. So whenever you guys get the opportunity, I hope that you enjoy playing as much as I did. I appreciate you so much for sticking it out to the end of the video, and I hope you have a good day.